Local conservation organization is giving kids an early lesson on pollution and water conservation. Emma McDarris joins us live from Mill Creek in Springfield, where those lessons are going on right now. Emma?
Lee, I am standing here in Mill Creek, where I've been with groups of students learning from the Watershed Committee of the Ozarks about how to do my part in keeping drinking water clean. The Watershed of the Ozarks hosts these educational programs and field trips to teach you about clean water. So important for not only people, but for all of the animals that we take care of or eat. The Watershed partners with Missouri Department of Conservation for Project WET, which lets teachers bring hands-on curriculum back into the classroom. Organizers say starting young makes a difference.
Biggest concern about water quality are not factories polluting the water, it's choices people make every day. So if we can start at a young age and teaching them about, again, those little things they do every day can impact water quality.
To learn more about what you can do to keep your drinking water clean, you can go to this story on KY3.com. But for now, I'm staying cool here in Springfield. Emma McDarris, KY3 News.